Welcome to the Trysted Soul Experience. This is the podcast for ambitious souls looking to heal soul wounds, live their soul purpose, and do that with their soulmate. And this is for people that know that true success isn't just about strategies, systems, structures. It's actually about doing the foundational work that makes that even possible in the first place. So today's guest, I'm very excited. One of my mentors taught me a hell of a lot. This was an idea that's been sitting in the archives for 6 years, and yeah, now we're getting it going. So I'm very excited for this one today. And I'm sitting with someone whose story perfectly illustrates why tactics without foundation, and more importantly, sales without soul and a genuine desire to serve, fail. I'm beyond excited, honoured and humbled to have my mentor, Darren Lee, with us today, who went from sitting on a freezing floor in Singapore making desperate sales calls to building a multiple seven-figure company and working with some of the biggest creators in the world. But this isn't a typical business success story. This is about what has to shift internally before external success becomes sustainable. So Darren, welcome to the podcast, brother. And I'm going to go straight out the gate how you've taught us. I'm going to honour what you've said about podcasts. So don't kill let me get this right. Don't kill the conversation or audience retention with background stories, blah, blah, blah. We're going to weave that in as we go, of course, and we'll have that in the description for people. But let's get straight into it. Why are sales and content so important for the man and woman that wants to create a better future for themselves and their family?
If there's no sale, there's no business. If there's no attention, there's no sales. It's the same process over and over again. I've worked with some of the biggest companies in the entire world, and if they can't get attention and can't get people to come into their world, come into their ecosystem, as I like to say, nothing else matters. I've built startups since I was 16 years old, businesses since I was 16 years old, effectively, all the way up to tech companies, and none of it matters without the last part of it. It's almost like making a dinner and not having a plate. It's like, well done for going to the supermarket, well done for getting the groceries together, but you just missed the most important part. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because if you crack this only small component, your entire life will become easier. And I've done this through my own lessons of avoiding it. Everything they're going to tell you, everything I'm going to teach you, everything I'm going to help you with has come from my own lessons. I was that broke creator who said more content, just more noise was going to help. And none of that was true. Like literally none of it was true. And it's only been the past couple of years where I've had a full circle and inflection moment to really realize what is it that actually builds a business that, again, to your point, is like soulful, purposeful, fulfilling. But what are the mechanics underneath? Just like you have a background in fitness as well. There's biomechanics and then there's all the other stuff. So it's what do we need to get foundation level correct? And that's why I think this is a great position to start this entire conversation.
Yeah, it's so true. You've said something about noise, because in the modern world, there is that noise, and I've certainly been guilty of that myself, just doing the shiny red ball syndrome and actually forgetting the whisper of why I wanted to be in business for the first place. You must have saw that through the time as people are just doing all the things, but actually forgetting. I think at the core, at least for me, it might be a bias because of what I do, I think it's to have a better future for you and your family. So like, if you don't have the fundamental plate, well, you're going to give nothing but desires and goals, and you're the man that's telling your woman that I'm going to do this, but never actually doing it because you don't have the foundational pieces in place. So such an important point. So with the work that you've done with people, what separates people that not only hit seven figures, but like continue to grow and expand, as opposed to people that are just firing out content for the sake of doing it?
Go through the years, and for all the wrong reasons. They do like large launches, they go at it really really aggressively. They try to just force their way through it. But what you have to realize is that this is an infinite game. The people that are most successful play these games infinitely. It's not a short-term pad, it's not a short-term play. It's not about your monthly revenue. It's about the long-term horizon. If you can't do this for 100 reps, if you can't record 100 podcasts, if you can't create 100 posts, don't create one. That's the number one advice. When I started back in 2020, man, the amount of guys that were coming up with me in my podcast back in the day, and they would message me saying, easy for you. You're only doing one podcast a week. I'm doing 3. And they were like, I'm doing 3 because Chris Williamson does 3. These same guys, guess where they are now? They're all gone. They all came out with videos saying that they're overworked, they're overwhelmed, they're burnt out. Whereas I've done one video a week for 5 years straight. And you know what? It hasn't even grown like this. Some weeks it's up, some weeks it's down. But I truly do not care because I truly want to play an infinite game. Does that mean I don't want to like win in the short term? Absolutely not, right? And I'm not this like virtuous person that's like, oh, I'll wait 20 years. Arguably, I would say you can get there a lot faster than the way the stories you tell yourself, 100%. But it's about, I don't need this to be right. I want this to be right. It's a massive reframe. Because I think the more pressure you put on yourself for things to be perfect, the more imperfect they actually become. So I've seen a lot of guys that have nailed it at a lower volume, but just consistently. And the way that I describe it was, take a step back. I was into sport my entire life, and I ran a 100-meter track at a very high level. I had the decision at like 17, 18 that I wanted to try pursue this professionally. And again, how much Irish guys do you see at the 100-meter line in the Olympics? Obviously very few. So that's the reason why I didn't pursue it. But it was very interesting because when I was 14, 15, funnily enough, I was actually very naturally talented at athletics. I like sprinting. But it was the guys that were skinny, 6'3" guys you'd never even look at, man. They didn't make the finals. They didn't make the semi-finals. For years, they were plodding along. Who were the people that they were beating at the end? It was fucking me. So I noticed from that inflection period, whereas I was quite naturally talented at sport, but it was like a combination of my ego, a combination of whatever, got in my way a lot of the time. And it was those guys are the guys that I tried to be today. I want to be that guy that's in the semifinals gets knocked out. Because he just keeps coming back. And they come back and they just love chewing glass, as I like to say. Just in the weeds, man. And there's part of me that just really, really loves that. Like for me, that's like the passion of it. Like there's certain aspects of like building things that when I'm in the true inner working weeds, I actually love it. Because whenever I get up against that resistance and that extreme resistance, all I think is there's an absolute body of people behind me that turned around and quit. You probably know that meme, right, of the guy with the axe and he turns around at the end. Like that is always coming. It always is coming. But what I like to say is like those pieces of resistance are exactly why the business that you want is difficult. The relationship that you want, the physique that you want are all difficult. I'm 29 years old. The average person who's 29 years old, let's be real, is lazy, broke, overweight, probably. Like being realistic, like they actually are, especially where I'm from in Ireland. And why? Because it's almost like the opposite now to be healthy. Because it has resistance. And I really try to lean into that. And like people like yourself, man, like, you know, I have to, hats off to you. Like the reason why we get on so well is because like you're someone that can chew glass, right? You shut up, you listen, you learn, you chew glass. And the more snowflakey you are, is the more reason why you're not getting the goals that you want, right? And I think the last point I'll say on this is like, I often find a lot of people are trying to be smart versus trying to get things correct. Like I actually had this video yesterday, man. If you go check my Instagram, I had a video about something that I won't even go into details, but I literally have the caption, I was wrong. Because I'm not trying to be right, man, all the time. I'm trying to get it right. And I'm not trying to stay by my beliefs. And I think having that detachment has just let me to live a much better life and also has also allowed me to get better results. Let's put it that way.
I just want to touch on the thing about like getting it correct. One of the things you said to me was, like, you know a hell of a lot. Don't be clever, be clear. And I'm like that. So it's especially the level that you're going with people. Like you need to, if it's not clear, they're not going to even take that first step.
Can I add to that 1 second, if you don't mind?
Of course, please.
Just to add to that. So you want to embrace dumbass energy. You don't want to be intelligent. You want to be an idiot. Because any sane person with high IQ would look at building a business and say, that is absolutely ridiculous. And that is the reason why they stay stuck. It's because they ruminate, procrastinate, overthink it, mentally masturbate, never actually get the result. Whereas if you have true dumbass energy, man, you'll run through a wall, get floored, wake up, and just do it again. You'll run at the other wall. And eventually one of them will cave. And I think that's the energy you need to embrace. Respectfully, I want people that don't want to ask questions. They're just going, I'm going to do it. Because when you've created a path, so let's say for you and your work, the work that you've done, take a step back. people are looking at your wounds, right? And they think that they can just replicate the wounds. But they're not wounds, they're actually scars. You develop scars and you have scar tissue and you have insight that other people don't have. They look at it and think, oh, that must be easy. But for you to explain something in one line has taken you 10 years of pain. Therefore, when you have the path ahead of you, it's like, dude, you don't even need to think about it. I say this to a lot of people that I work with. Don't try to think about it. Just do. Just do as I say. Because it's going to work. This is actually going to work contextually. And I think it goes back to trying to be smart. It goes back to trying to be clever. Just actually be a dumbass and your life will be so much better, man. And I find this because I have a very large team now at this point. And I find that like a lot of conflicting views, and even like my own team, is like people trying to be right. I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit if you're right. I want you to do things and then learn from your mistakes. Get better, do things. Stop trying to prove yourself right, because like it depends what you're optimizing for. But let's just say if it's anything to do with like revenue, it's like the ultimate marker of what was true and what wasn't is what shows up in your bank account. If we want to get into the actual brass tacks of what's actually right and wrong. And I think about these things like very, very deeply, as you can imagine, right? Because again, for me, this is like a multi-decade thing. It's not a two-quarter thing in and out, let's put it that way.
Again, mate, so much gold in there. And it's beautiful for me to hear, because different niche, same principles. I say the same to my clients that come in, because obviously one of the things that we specialise in is the energetics and the somatics of healing. Like if it was just mental game, just Google that or chat GPT it now. You wouldn't need me. We don't need more information. I said, you go to your head because the bodies took a snapshot and it never felt safe. I was the biggest overthinker ever. I've took care of that from you in this programme. I went, you've got 2 words, press play. Just look at the video, press play. I was like, that's it. That's all you need to do. I was like, do the stuff, then tell me it doesn't work. And and I'm humble enough, if it doesn't, we'll change it. I said, but you're 5 steps ahead when you've not done the first one. Press play. That's it. You don't need to think.
And sorry, just for a bit of context as well, 50 to 60% of the people that I work with are in personal development space. People actually don't realize that, but it actually is like that high. So that's why for me, that's why I speak more at this like foundational, like everlasting principle. And it's really, really interesting, man, because 2 things here. I just put a post up in the Incubator, which is one of our programs, which literally said, stop thinking about things and just start recording. Just stop thinking about the perfect camera, the perfect lighting. Stop thinking about, should it be like this or should it be like that? Just hit record. I am connecting this right now with a bunch of random like USB-C wires. I messaged my head of content a minute ago and I was like, dude, like it's stuck at 720p, the camera. I was like, I don't know what to do. He was like, bro, just flick. He was like, just change the order with the cables. And lo and behold, it worked. It's like, stop thinking about it. Just fucking do the thing. That's one thing. The second thing is, Tom, as you know, my business partner, he basically has a philosophy of teaching, which funnily enough came from traditional education because he used to be an actual teacher. And in the model, so in the exact model that we teach principles to our clients, there's a section called failure, which means we want our clients to fail. We want them to go out to the world, chew glass, rub their head off the fucking ground, and come back and be like, I made a mistake. Fantastic. Now you can improve. Because things aren't idyllic. They're not good. They're not perfect. They're meant to be broken. You're meant to break things. And this is the whole idea with a child, right? It's like, child goes near like the hot rod or the fire, puts a finger in. What are they going to do? Not going to fucking do that again. So why can't we do that in our adolescence? Understand where the fire is, as an analogy, and bounce off of it. And then you know what's good and bad, right? And again, if people don't have a business, let's look at it as a relationship. Simple example is if someone is portraying like red flags or negative behaviors, or you're also resembling negative behaviors, you look at those and look at them and say, I'm not going to repeat that behavior. We can get into this in more detail, but like, I come from a family that's like traditional Irish, like alcoholism, drug abuse, all that kind of stuff. There is a shit ton of stuff that I have like carried through my life that came from those earlier experiences. But me and my wife actively, on a weekly basis, spot those things and think, okay, nope, we're going to stop doing that because I know that historically that led to this. So I'm not saying I'm an angel. I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm saying we all have these things that What does that mean for me? Does that mean because I had a bad experience, I shouldn't be in a relationship? Absolutely not. It means the opposite. I should be in a relationship and I should be working actively to not replicate the issues and the problems that I've had as a child, let's say, as an example.
I love it, mate. Again, there's a lot of different ways we could go down here, but I'm going to be respectful of the time and keep going.
Dude, I have all the time in the world, man. I set this aside time. I can go fucking all day. I know you may not be able to in the studio.
No. Like, I'm just respectful of your time. I don't know the game you're playing. I know it's Friday night for you as well, but one of the things for people watching, like, we do have a podcast with Tom coming soon, and Tom and I have actually got weird. Yeah, we've got a weird. There's a weird synergy. Both ex-teachers, both ex-DJs. My nickname's Sparky. His DJ name was Tom Spark, which isn't his real name. My dad's name's Tom. It's man's man. But we've recorded that, so that's coming soon as well. And also, like, talking about, like, Elise, and we'll get to that further down the line, the importance of having, like, a co-pilot that gets life and gets the business and that inside of it is amazing. And I think we spend so much time thinking about things. I say to my clients, I was like, do you know the brand Nike? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, what's their slogan? And I just do it. I went, well, if it works for them, chances it'll probably work for us. It's not just manifest it. It's not just think about it. It's just fucking do it. I was like just like, you can think, do you think this will work? I'm like, I don't know. Your market will tell you. Like the girl that you want to call in, you see her, blah, blah, like, do you think she'll let? I don't know, but the chances of her speaking back to you dramatically increase if you go and initiate conversation. I was like, so don't just think about it. We need to, like, take those steps. And I think that's a good bridge into my next question for you. Like, what internal shifts have to happen for us before we can turn up authentically online through content and gain another person's trust? What journey do we need to go through first?
I think the first part is you do need skill acquisition. This is not what all the healers will tell you. But I look at things from a very logical perspective. I became more confident when I became more competent. When I was writing online and creating my podcast back in the day, go onto YouTube, find my first video. The reason why I was like a fucking little ball is because I was a dumbass. And I was truly like unskilled, no idea what I was doing. Is that okay? Yeah. I talked myself up because I didn't have a leg to stand on. Whereas when I had built my podcast, interviewed some of the biggest guests in the world, that gave me some confidence in the content world. I knew how to get attention. Our initial offer back in the day was helping people build their podcasts and basically just get attention on the internet. And I could do that. And I could stand over that. So I was pretty competent in that domain. And because of that, I also grew my own business. And then I was slowly like, okay, optimizing offers and looking at like, how do I optimize this process? I was reading every sales book under the sun and so on and so forth. And as the years went on, I started developing other skills like product and like sales. And then I realized, wait, fuck, because I've spent 5 years taking 1,000 sales calls and reading every book under the sun and being coached by people all around the world with sales, I'm pretty fucking good at this. Or at least I have the confidence to tell myself that I am, to reinforce the behavior. So then allowed me to be like, okay, you know, school, kids are like, it's basically like, you know, friends from school, I'm not going to like take your advice or take your negative feedback because I have the receipts. That's the thing. I have the receipts to be able to be like, okay, I can double tap on my ability. And I think that's something that people need to really reinforce is you will actually only ever rise and go above your actual skill acquisition. So the reason why you're not more authentic or the reason why you're not more natural is because you haven't learned a skill. And now I can get, even, I'll give you an example. When I was building Voix in the beginning, so for context, my company's name is Voix. We help business owners grow their business and scale. We help them with content, with sales, all this kind of stuff. I was inherently very anxious and worried building that business from the beginning because I never had like the receipts. Whereas now with my software company, I'm just like putting shit up on the internet, being like, yeah, man, like we're waiting for this Google approval. It's cost me like $70,000 and it's delayed. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And then I know the right people are like, fuck hell, this guy just doesn't give up. This guy's just going to keep going no matter what. The wrong people are going to be like, haha, knew it. It's like, I'm not optimizing for that. And I know the right person that comes true is the person that I want either in my tribe or as a client or as a friend. Many of my clients are my friends because you're cut from the same cloth. So I like to think about it through that lens. And then it allows me to be more authentic in that way. And then it allows me to basically create a life that, as I like to say, like my content life is basically like my life, because effectively everything is a one-to-one relationship. You see me with my dogs because that's the way I am with my dogs. You see me the way I am with my team because that's the way I am with my team. It's basically a one-for-one relationship in that regard. So, and then the second part of this is the identity. So at that point, then when you do have acquisition of skills, you do need to realize, okay, where is the shortfall? So I'm going to give some practical examples. So Tim Stoddard, so you might know Tim, he's also in Apex. He was my mentor before I became his mentor. And he said to me when I was making around 11 to 13,000 a month, he said, do you think you're better than everybody else? And I was like, well, no. And he said, so why are you doing every job in your business? Because I had become competent and I had skill acquisition, but I was doing all the nitty gritty stuff. And then I actually hired Piyush, who is now actually also a co-partner of our business. And that was fucking 4 years ago. And it was those small things. And dude, this happened quite recently. Go watch my podcast with Jeremy Haynes on my channel. He literally ripped my ass open and was like, you have a mindset issue. You're not willing to spend 100K a month on ads because you have an issue with your mind. This is a public podcast. It's on the internet, bear in mind, that my team asked me what should I take down. And I left it up. And even some guy messaged me today about it this morning. But everybody who I want, same thing, everybody who I want to see that, sees it. I had a young guy today message me saying, I watched that podcast, couldn't believe you sat through 40 minutes of getting your ass ripped open, but I appreciate you and I learned a ton from the video. And it's like this massive video that a lot of people have watched, bear in mind, there's thousands of views. And it's him just basically ripping me open. So what I'm trying to say is when the earth is giving you medicine, you better be receptive of it. Because if you don't, we go back to the beginning of this conversation and you will be stuck forever. You will be stuck forever. And there's no career progression and career ladder with your business. You're dished and given exactly what you deserve at every single point. And dude, look at you. It's the exact scenario. You were struggling. You came to me for help. We made a few different adjustments and you had your best month of your entire life. And and as I said to you, right, it's not about a tactic. It's not about a fucking random hack. It's a absolute one-to-one reflection of the person that you are and who you help and how do you help them. It's an absolute one-to-one reflection, 100%. And that's the reason why you're doing the best that you've done in the past couple of months. And yeah, super proud of you because this is just everything embodied. Basically everything that's just been embodied, just one for one.
Wow. Right, where do I begin with that? That's amazing. Bring it back. So skill acquisition and identity is a big thing. What I want to pitch in with you, mate, with your identity is, and I'll give listeners a little preview of the podcast with Tom. One of the things I said to Tom was the best students aren't always the best teachers, but the best teachers are always the best students. Like you said at the very beginning, it's an infinite game. So just because you're a good student doesn't mean that you're going to go on and graduate and teach other people. But the one that knows that teaching on some level is a calling knows that the learning never ever stops. It's an infinite game, as you said. And I think that's your mindset that stands apart. It's definitely a part of your identity, like your humility, mate, because obviously you've got a lot of on-paper success and the little that I've known you for a short period of time. I think that's only scratching the surface of where you're going, which is very exciting. But you're authentic, mate. For me, it's your humility and your authenticity. Humble to know what I'm doing right now is cool, but there's more. And it's not from not enoughness. It's from growth and expansion and hunger. And you're authentic along the way. Here's my wins. Here's my sins. And I think that's the thing, mate. I think from me to tie this into content, I think the ship shape and shiny podcast studios and the right fonts and the bouncing ball and the caption, like, I think people could not give less of a fuck about that anymore. It's just, and especially in the world of AI, it opens up a lot of possibilities, but in the duality of everything, there's a lot of like fuckery that can come with that. So I think just pointing a camera with a message that actually makes a difference for the other person, that's what's going to be eternal. That's what's always going to be have weight and value, and that's you in space from what I can see. But the systems that you talk about, or the confidence coming from the competence, just getting things going, was that the start of how you started to build the ecosystem model that you talk about? Because obviously it started as podcasts, oh, I'm good at this, or sales, I'm pretty good at this, and it's just, then all of a sudden you've got like this businessman's buffet, if you like. Is that how it began?
Very interesting question. my biggest fear is getting stuck due to my own ignorance. I will grow as far as I'm willing to develop as a person. So if I'm not willing to change and adjust, I will get hammered by the market, and I should. I should get destroyed by the market. To the point that if I'm not willing to change, I should get washed out. Because that's exactly how the world works. Look at BlackBerry. Look at Blockbuster. All of these companies had the opportunity, but had the ignorance to say, I'm different. No one's different. Fucking nobody. Everyone will get swallowed, depending if they don't adjust. So let's walk through my example. Let's just look at the Voex example. I could go back further, but let's just look at this specifically. I can safely say I was one of the first people ever to back YouTube podcasts because I'm dyslexic. So I have a very difficult, a very difficult like way to understand text-based stuff and non-visual things. It's very difficult for me to understand things. So back in the day, I would listen to these audio podcasts in university, like Tim Ferriss and so on, like him interviewing like the CEO of MailChimp, hearing about like how that guy built it on the side. He was working like an accounting job, all this kind of stuff. And I used to be so frustrated that I couldn't see the dude. And it was so non-tactile. And I was like, this needs to be video, this needs to be video, this needs to be video. To the point that when we launched Voex initially, we went all in on video. And that was the wedge. All these old balls people from like Birmingham were like, no, it's audio, bro, it's audio. We were the only people to do video only. Then I double tapped on studio. Coming out of COVID, I wanted to go into studio. And as you said, the pendulum was swinging and now it's gone back natural. We went all in on that. And then the last step of this was content creators and creators in general are super fucking broke. It's actually entrepreneurs who use content to make money. But the actual journey of that was we had a content agency that helped you grow your podcast or content. Then people came to me who don't have a podcast but have a YouTube channel and said, hey, could you help me? I looked at it. Most people would be like, I said, fuck it, let's do it. So I'd run at that. So then we were running podcasts and YouTube channels. And then they said, well, could you do LinkedIn and Instagram too? And instead I'd be like, we just did it. I was like, fuck it, let's just do it. Retainers go up and so on. We were hammering that funnel. To the point that a lot of our clients would say, Darren, this is great, but I have a huge YouTube channel and now I can't make money. So then I tripped and fell forward and said, fuck it, I'll manage your sponsorships for you. So I would go out, personally me, and dial, email, call every single sponsor in the entire world. All the biggest companies in the entire world, I have direct partnerships with them today because I rang them. And I would work on these deals that were from $900 when we first started them up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have several receipts of me doing multiple 6 figures on calls. Like one specific sponsor is paying us multiple 6 figures on a fucking call. I have multiple receipts of those because I had the neck to put my head into the door, let the door smash me in the head and keep my head in the door. And it's looking at the opportunity. Voex turned into an outsourced sales agency. I didn't even know what the word was. I didn't even know what the word agency was. I just said, fuck it, I'll do the content for you because you're not willing to do it. So I had a content agency. I had a sales agency, which I didn't even realize. And then we ran their front end and ran their back end. And then it got to the point then where we had a lot of creators that were like, hey, look, I don't want sponsors. Like, what can we do instead? And I would just say, here, I'll build you a program. I didn't even have a program, bear in mind, back in the day. I would build their program. I'm like, yeah, you help people with like neuroscience or neurology or some shit. Let me build a program. And I would just like look at like logically, like what does that mean? And I would just start building things. So I'd have the offer, the content and the sales process for 30 to 50 people at a time. And then what happened was that has a cap, right? Running an agency, it's not that it has a cap. It's just that you only scale through horizontal scaling. So you got to hire more. And that was kind of like breaking my brain a small, but not going to lie, like 2022, 2023, making like just over $1 million a year in 2023. And it was tough, right? It was a tough business model because we had percentages of revenue share. And then we had these retainers and a lot of guys were taking a while to ramp up. And we had this huge CRM, like massive CRM of all these customers, all these clients that were like, Darren, love working with you. Sorry, I would love to work with you, but I just can't afford it. So then in that moment, it's another, and I knew that was a bridge into education. And that's when I met Tom. Tom's background was in education. And I said, look, dude, like I got like 6,000 leads, but I just don't know what to do with them. And he's like, have you thought about actually teaching them what you do in your agency? And I was like, I guess I can do it. So that day, we turned all of our ClickUp documents public and sold 40 seats in a week. And then what happened was we had to figure out coaching. I just figured it out. Like, just figured it out. So then we went from having the agency to the coaching. And then even at the beginning, the reason why I had a lot of resistance around coaching initially was I felt like I had no lifetime value, LTV. So I felt like there was no way to get people to rebuy effectively. So what that meant basically was I felt that it was going to be this like kind of like pump and up and down and launch thing. And I hate that kind of stuff. I hate that stuff. So then what happened was we got great results. I was very hands-on with about these 40 people initially, like very, very hands-on, to the point that they all kind of were coming to the calls, but they were with kind of new people. So they felt like that there was a bit of an imbalance. And at that point, most people would have a mental crisis. And all I thought to myself was, let's build another step for those people who did well to keep on going. So the guys who do well will keep on going. Likewise with the content of the program, we changed that again and again and again. So we did 3 teardowns and 3 rebuilds every single time. And the reason why I'm kind of going you through this kind of context is because at every single point, I would have got stuck if I wasn't willing to adjust. And then that's where we kind of got into our new, like, larger program that's also run in conjunction to everything else. And that's like really helping people like scale up. And it's ironic because I had a call yesterday about building a new offer. Would you believe? A one above Apex.
I would believe.
Which was like the rough idea was like we would do it for them in person for like 2 days. Whereas like I'll give an example, a practical example. We would build a sales team, like 3 setters, 3 closers, sales manager, in person over 2 days. And it's like because like that actually is becoming an issue. Like we that actually is an opportunity. So kind of had that jerk moment and I was like, maybe it's possible, maybe it's not possible. And yeah, at every single point, I'm just trying to see, what I'm actually trying to see here is I'm trying to find where the bottleneck is. Where is the bottleneck? Number 1, it's the business owner, 100%. And then 2, is it more technical, foundational, environmental? Like, is there like an environment constraint? And then, okay, how do I solve it? Because you think about it, man, people have gone to Mars. They've gone to moon, gone into space, dude. It's like, you can figure out how to scale your coaching business. It's not fucking rocket science. You just have to be willing and able to do it, basically.
Willing and able. This is a good segue. Let's bring it back to people because there's so much gold in this, right? But as you said, you've chewed your fair share of glass and will continue to do so. And the humility, as I said, and the authenticity. And I think there's parts of you, though, that is God-given talent, mate, which is your ability to see gaps. And then you've got that resilience, was the word you used earlier as well, to actually just, right, throw myself into the gap. I'll figure it out. When has it ever not worked? But in the infancy of this, obviously building up that resilience, I want to go back to probably that initial point of inertia where the courage started. That night in Dublin, hovering over the publish button for hours, days, weeks, however long it was. What was going through your head then? Because obviously, if you hadn't took action then, people wouldn't even be getting gold for these first 15 minutes of how you're talking now. So what was going through in the infancy for maybe somebody that's looking at this? Because you're a very inspiring guy, mate. As soon as people hear you, you're like any good leader, you kind of borrow your confidence. You kind of go, why the fuck not, man? Like, yeah, let's go. Which I think is a brilliant trait, and I like hopefully doing that with some of my clients as well. But yeah, hovering over it in the beginning, it wasn't always this way. For anyone listening that thinks the gap between them and you is so big, I know it isn't, because you were in their position once upon a time. So speak to that person. What was going on when you were hovering over hitting publish for the very first time?
Well, dude, let me tell you this. At 23 years old, I had 3 failed attempts at a business. I was out all of it. I was working a 9 to 5 in fucking consulting. I was with my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and she just said, like, this can't be it for you. This isn't it. My confidence was obviously shot at the time. I was deep down the partying route, all that kind of stuff, like just in a negative headspace, to the point that I knew I wanted to start a podcast. I was super deep down the idea of creating content. I was always listening to stuff. It was my wife, Elise, who told me I should start a podcast. Funnily enough, she actually told me I should start a sex podcast, which is a story from another day. But it was hilarious at the time, nonetheless. Because that's when Call Her Daddy just started. But I was like, okay, let's do this. And I remember distinctly, in Dublin, lashing rain, October, November, miserable, sitting in a tiny apartment at the edge of my bed, quivering over my phone. It was that gut-wrench feeling. You know, when you get told in school you did something wrong, you didn't actually do it, and something's wrong. I had that feeling in my stomach, pressing publish. And I was publishing my first 3 podcasts all in one go on the same day. And I've never felt more fear in my entire life. And that's when I knew when I pressed publish, I was never going back. Just never going back, man. This was it. I'm all in. Rain, hail, snow. I'm fucking doing it. And I did. I remember after that, I was publishing my podcast on Christmas Day. And people are like, why are you doing that? What's you doing that for? Because you need to initially have the extrinsic to have the intrinsic. So the extrinsic for me was it was actually quite superficial. It was 90% of podcasts don't get to episode 20, and of the 20 that get to episode 20, 90% of those don't get to 50 or some shit. And I was like, well, time to prove you fucking wrong. And I just stuck with it. Dumbass energy running at something. And I think just the first step is all that you need to start that lifetime journey. Lifetime journey with your partner, your business, and so on and so forth. And that's all you got to need to look at it from. And look at it from an infinite game perspective. If you don't want to be an entrepreneur, don't. Maybe it's going to the gym, right? Maybe it's the first time doing it. There's genuine activities that I don't do because I know that I'm either not going to do them continuously or I'll go too far in and it's not something I want to do. So, and that's just the way my body's geared. So it's not everything has to be for you, but what's for you, I want you to commit to and really commit everything to. Because you only really got 2 or 3 shots at something. And people don't know about this. But big swings, big opportunities, those things that are going to set you up for life, you got 3 of them, bro. And you got a choice. You can either take them or you can run from them. For me, it was starting a podcast. The second thing for me, it was leaving my shitty job and going all in on it. Even when people in the industry, my friends from the industry, told me to not do it, told me it wouldn't work. They're projecting their fear and insecurities back on me for their lack of action and lack of results. Whereas what I like to say is the past is literally the past, right? All the things that have happened up until this point have just happened. And your past is not reflective of your future. So let me give you an example. I was dyslexic in school, told to never read or write. Grew up in an alcoholic environment, abuse, antidepressants, all that kind of stuff. I was heavily down the alcohol route myself, partying, drink, drugs. I'm not a saint. I'm not going to pretend to be. I had 3 failed businesses before I was 23. None of that mattered when it came to starting my content. It had no impact because they're mutually exclusive events. Things that are only interact are things that you allow them to be. If you tell yourself that you're fat, lazy, and overweight, what do you become? You become the reality. Or if you tell yourself, this is a lifetime journey, I'm going to commit to this. It's going to suck. Some days I want to pull out my hair, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to eventually get there. Dude, it's chill. It's chilling. It's chilling. You're going to be fine.
Where did that come from though, Darren? Where did that inner belief come from that you just knew I'm not a half-in type of guy?
Dude, okay, let's take a step back. So, you don't need to be great at something to be great at it. Let me give you an example. I played sport when I was younger. I had a pretty high level. I loved running track until I blew up my kneecap 100 times over. I got into the gym and I wore the Forrest Gump brace on my leg in the gym. That's when I got into weightlifting at around 16, 17. I had spent all of my life, since I was 4 years old, on a fucking running track. And now all of a sudden, the next day, I'm in the gym And I used to spend 6 days a week on the track, and now I spend 6 days a week in the gym. Dude, I would say within 5 days of the surgery, I was in the gym. It was, did one thing, do another thing. I did that until I became a competitive bodybuilder. But before that, I was a dumbass in school. All I wanted to do was play sport at a high level. So I basically like fell through my GCSEs going into A levels. But then I was screwed, and I was fearful that I wouldn't have anything to do in my life. So I studied exceptionally hard. I studied so hard, I turned green. I studied in a room that had no windows for 2 years, to the point that I actually turned green. And I scraped into university by the skin of my teeth. But all it was inputs equals outputs, and enough inputs equaled enough outputs to derive an outcome. So the outcome is irrelevant, dude. If the inputs are there and the volume of inputs are there, there'll be enough output, and then you do volume until there's quality, and then you reduce the volume, get quality, and then you increase the volume with the quality. To the point that when I went into university, I ended up getting like the highest grade 3 out of 4 years. So I was like finished like top like 5 in my class. The dyslexic kid who wasn't read or write is now like the highest, finishing at the top of his like basically did like software engineering and business, kind of fucked up degree, but whatever. And then lo and behold, when I went into tech and so on and so forth in my earlier 20s, I was good at it because I was willing to do it. I worked at if people search my name, they'll figure out the company, but I worked at the fastest growing startup of all time, basically in Europe. And I was there for a lot of the success. I was one of the longest tenure people there, actually arguably of all time. I was there for 2 years and 6 months. And the average tenure, you can check on Glassdoor, is 6 months. The reason being is because I was too stubborn to quit. My wife would be like, you fucking hate yourself. Why are you doing this job? It's because I wanted to basically follow the same model that I had basically modeled, to the point that now serendipity, life has come back together. I'm building a software company. We've done 4 years of development in fucking 2 months because I know product. My engineer obviously knows product, but I had chewed glass, brother, for 2.5 years to know what good product is. And, you know, arguably now it's one of the nicest apps in the world, the company that I used to work with. But what I'm trying to say is, brother, it doesn't matter about skill. No one gives a fuck how skilled you are. Are you willing to hit that sheer volume on the front end for the goal that you want? Because that is possible, right? And it comes down to like truly how bad you want it. The last thing I'll say on this is my father-in-law, cut from the same cloth as me, grew up in like an abusive, actually not abusive family, to be fair. He had a decent family, but grew up in a very underprivileged family in America, low income, drug abuse, like crack houses, all that kind of stuff. The dude broke his fucking back to get into university on like a full ride because that was his only way out of like effectively like the fucking hood in America. And to the point that he got into university, chewed glass, got into medical sales, became the highest paid, the most successful salesperson in all of America in medical sales. That's my father-in-law. And he's done that. How do you think he did it? Was it sitting back, manifesting his chakras? Fuck no. The dude was dialing, getting on flights, getting in hospitals, doing what was necessary, not what's asked of him. So what I tell everyone, do not do what I ask you to do. Do what's necessary. If a client needs help and something goes wrong, you know, I'll tell you a story. Like I had something went wrong with a client recently. Everyone on deck. And I look at it through that lens because then it's like way easier to get your goal, bro. Because you don't need to be talented. You don't need to be smart. You don't need to be rich. You don't need any of that stuff. You just got to want it. And do you want it? Last thing I'll say on this, I had a call with, I never take sales calls ever. But I had a call with this person because one of my sales reps was traveling. He's an Irish guy. And nice guy, personal development, oddly enough. And he was like, yeah, I have this goal. I want to make this much money and all this kind of stuff. And it was for our higher end program. So I could have made a lot of money, basically. And he was like, yeah, talking a lot. And I just said to him, bro, I was like, do you want this? And he's like, yeah, I want it. And I was like, do you truly want this? You want to sit through it? You want to Shawshank Redemption it, crawl through the pipe, go through the shit? do you want to do it? And he's like, I'm like, bro, you don't need to do it. And you don't have to do it. And you don't have to say yes just to appease me. And he's like, okay, I don't want to do it. I'm like, all right, man, at least you know. When I was ending the call, I was like, at least you know. Now you'll always be here, but that's okay. Because at least you're to bed at it. At least you're better. You don't need to be a hormozy. You just need to be happy with where you're at. And he just said, yeah, I'm happy. He was making like $500K a year. And I was like, dude, enjoy your life. Maybe you're not going to be a conqueror. Maybe you're not going to take over fucking Rome. But that's all right. Because only one person can do that. And if it's not you, fucking hell, there's going to be someone else going to do it, right?
Input, enough of them. Output, outcome. The desire, though, for the input, that incessant, I'm going to outwork myself. Do you think that came from similar environments that we've grew up in, where you see a lot of people around just talking it, well, usually complaining about what they don't have? Do you think that was the perfect contrast for you to go, well, I'm not going to be that?
Dude, let me tell you this. When I grew up, I remember like hundreds of these examples. Not being able to put petrol in the car. Not being able to bring people in and out of the city as I lived outside the city due to like not having petrol until they get paid. Okay? I know several examples of that. I felt those examples, man. Not being able to do stuff, not having money. I know what it feels like to have fucking nothing. And I'm not going back there. I don't care, I gotta work for 24 hours a day for the rest of my life. There's no way I'm going back there. I can get more visual, man. Like that like basically tore my entire family apart. To the point that I know that the reason for a lot of the alcoholism and the drug abuse and everything all came back to that core thing. And now, what I have learned is a lot of that is self-induced, right? And I felt like when I grew up, I thought that like you couldn't make money. I didn't think like money was evil, but I just felt like you couldn't make, it wasn't possible. And I did go to a good school for sport, and I saw like wealthy doctors and dentists and all those kind of people. And I remember seeing to myself, I was like, well, if that guy can do it, I can fucking do it. And I remember seeing guys who own like factories, like their father owned like a factory, and the guy, nice guy, normal dude, just a fucking normal dude, would pull up in like a Mercedes, just like a regular Mercedes. And I was like 14 years old, subconsciously just thinking, this is obviously possible. This is obviously possible. But it was the environment that embedded it, 100%. But at the same time, I know what it feels like to not have central heating in the winter. Yeah. To have windows that were actually single glaze because you couldn't afford double glaze. So I don't give a shit what anybody says. That was the reality. And because of that, yeah. I do think, now obviously you might say it differently in the personal development space, but being driven by fear, at least for the beginning quarter, is a good thing. Because you need to be fearful of where you don't want to go to. It's the heaven and hell analogy, right? I think from a marketing perspective, it's not good to sell the dream. Why? No one knows what it's like to be in heaven, brother. Otherwise, you'll all be there. But I can tell you what it feels like to be back there. And everyone's hell can be different, right? But for me personally, that's what I'm not going back to. Now, at the moment, am I driven by fear? Absolutely not, right? It's more fear of like letting people down and, you know, not fulfilling my obligations. And, you know, I got like a fucking sales manager and I got like 2 co-founders now and I got a fucking developer and I got a ton of stuff. So like that is a different type of fear, but it's not the same core fear that I initially had growing up. But we can double tap on that, man, because, you know, as I mentioned with my father-in-law, the reason why me and him get along so well, like I moved him in next to me, bear in mind, in my house. The reason why we get on so well and that we talk so deeply about these specific things is because we both know what hell feels like. And even though he would advise me on the best days to take a break and to breathe and regulate my nervous system, he knows deep down that what I'm trying to do is fucking avoid that forever, because that's like a nervous system reaction, right? Fair enough. I do grant that's not great. However, let me just put one kind of caveat to this. How do I say this without being massively insulting? Basically, one thing that let's just give a juxtaposition. The difference between America and Ireland, I'm not going to say the UK, but Ireland, is in America, you can fall so hard to the point that no one's going to remember you, no one gives a shit about your name, no one gives a shit about your social security number, no one's putting you in a house, no one's doing anything. So the hell is so deep. In Ireland, if things aren't working well, you get social welfare and they give you money and then they give you a house and then you get healthcare. Why? Because I know fucking people that are on it and ride the system. And you got 6 kids and you're making more than most guys making 10K a month, right? So I say all that because what does that encourage? Comfort behavior. That means you're not going to have this like fucking fire and this passion for what you're doing. Similarly, on the flip side, let's give the flip side for context. In Ireland, you're taxed at like 50% when you wake up in the morning. You're taxed to go to the bathroom in Ireland, right? Whereas in America, the upside is much stronger. So that's why the heaven approach is like, yeah, let's fucking go, which is why I get on so well with a lot of American people. Not so much anymore, but a lot of our clients used to be American, probably 90%. Now it's probably around 40%. But yeah, that's the reason why. Like that actually, and I've really, really detailed this down, man, and I've broken this down a lot, and I break it down to these actually core factors. You're coddled, it's the safety blanket country, even though they don't actually take care of you, but they try to pretend that they take care of you, to the point that there's no aspiration, right? There's no like fire under the ass, because why would there be? Your life is based on comfort.
There's a lot to digest there. You know, I agree with all of it, but this is amazing, mate, because I'm hearing you tell it from a different lens. It's all the same thing, but it's brilliant. It lands differently. Yeah, I mean, the cultures are slightly different with us, but it's fundamentally the same, mate. It's heaven and hell. And in our work, a lot of people that I work with, the hell that I see is the bit in the middle, mate. It's the purgatory, where people aren't really doing either. They're not fearful enough to avoid the hell, and they're not driven enough by the possibility of something better, so they just settle for mediocrity, and that to me is hell. And I think that's the big thing that we share in common, mate, is like the lack of connection growing up in certain ways, or being connected to like low level stuff. We would sacrifice the depths of our soul at certain parts. Like, I'm a great believer that we always know on some level, but fitting in and connecting with people at some point in proceedings is better than the complete disconnect, because that is survival and it's human physiology, biology. We're wired to connect with each other. So for a lot of us, we disconnect from our soul's purpose to just connect with people that we know on some level aren't really good for us. Eventually that gets boring, because life will give you enough feedback that this is your hell, this is painful, because you're not living your true self. And I think connection and contribution is so important. And I think I've never said it like this before, but I think all of us that actually stand for something greater than ourselves, that is the contribution we want to make. We want to connect people to the things that were previously not able to be connected for ourselves. That biggest void that we have becomes our highest value, and we want to give that to others. And that's what we're driving. Like, I ain't going back there. And do you know what, bro? Neither the fuck are you if I can help you. Like, get on the train, because we're going. And I think that's the thing, mate, that makes you such an amazing leader, is that you know when to delegate, skill acquisition and identity, as you said, but again, getting to know other people and their skill set and go, oh, you're better at that than me here, but you're the one that's always driving the train, but you're at a position now, mate, you don't actually need to be sitting in the driver's seat. You're just, your vision and your energy is what's taking it forward, mate, and it's blessed to be part of it as well. Like, as I said, I'm still thinking about the last mastermind, man. What was the difference? It was like 4 months between the first one and the second one, 6 maybe. The evolution of that was massive, mate. It was massive. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. I can't remember who it was. It was Jay-Z or Kanye West. They say the same thing. Like, poverty is the great motivator. I think it was Jay-Z. He went, I'm not going back there. Similar to what you said, like that lack of money. He's like, I'm not going back there. But going back to the publishing point, you're saying that you were scared, the fear. I've shared some stuff with you recently. The old fears have come up, and anxiety. But in my experience for my journey, and also with clients, anxiety is usually the prerequisite before something big is coming. But again, you still always need to take action on it. For you that was anxious, what was the fear before hitting the publish back then, and what would you tell that younger version of you that anxiety actually was?
It's fear of judgment, right? I was fear of my old high school friends who said that they were my friends. What would they think about me? What would they think about the video? Turns out none of them watched it. Turns out none of them follow me now. And turns out they messaged me to come to the high school graduation or they message me to come to the high school renewal thingy 10-year anniversary, and I ignore the message on LinkedIn. That's the reality. Is because you get so caught up in the minutia of what's happening today that you don't even realize that all that shit's meaningless. So none of those people are going to remember. And what I always love to say is, in the beginning, everyone laughs at you. When you're stuck, everyone ignores you. But everyone, and I mean everyone, claps for you at the finish line. It's the same people. The same guys reach out and say, thank you so much. It's so amazing to see what you're doing. Any chance you're hiring? It's like, bro, no. Not for this role. And I think about this quite a lot, right? Because, and I was circumferent to that. That's the reason I'm saying it, is fear judgment, fear what other people think. But we all end up in the same hole, and we all have the same bodily functions. We do the same shit. So you get to pick your own adventure, pick your own journey, and you get to design your own character. It's a Grand Theft Auto, right? You're going to the new map. You get to decide what path you want to take. Do you want to let your life absolutely be run over by someone else's dumbass opinion? It doesn't even matter. And this is where, even to this day, man, like, I kind of like don't take anyone's opinion unless I ask for it. And I say this like respectfully to a lot of people that I'm around, is that I'm in the territory right now that it's very difficult to speak to anyone about. And even people, even like communities that I'm in, they're like not really in the space that I'm in. No. So it's like, well, why should I take someone else's opinion? So it's like, I have like my own intuition, and my own intuition that I want to follow. And there's some feedback that I need from other people, and I want to learn from other people. But that's where it's very, very important to realize, like, okay, what is it you want to do? And how do you want to get there? That's the biggest thing. And yeah, man, and just staying true to it. That's the biggest thing. What I mean by staying true to it is like, stay true to the course. Just do the fucking thing, and don't cop out on it, basically.
I think the fear and being pissed off is a great motivator, because we eventually get pissed off at ourselves of, why am I afraid of other people's judgment? Which is really a rejection, which goes back to the need for connection. And you go like that, I couldn't give less of a fuck. Would I take these people's advice? Why do I really care? And again, I could go down a deeper rabbit hole there, because that's the what that I do, and go, well, let's look at where that came from. But let's keep the train moving. What was the aha moment, mate, where you realised this is my core calling? Or has it been just, you always knew you were going to help people, has it just been that organic that you've just started to go, opportunities present itself, and you're just built as the guy of, I'll have a crack at that?
So I actually wanted to bring this up because you said it, the first sentence you said is about service to others. And your highest value should be serving your clients, prospects, and followers. Because if it is, you'll make every bit of money you want in the world. Because how much you can help people is how much money you will make. And if I know that I genuinely actually care about the success of my clients, even putting them in their tracks and telling them they're being stupid when they're being stupid, they know it from a position of like, I'm actually looking out for them. And they're going to get the result based on that. So it's being of service, and that makes everything then for you just come more automatic and natural. And I know that to be true because it's the other people that aren't. A lot of, as you know, a lot of like smokes and mirrors, business coaches, whatever you want to fucking call them, and a lot of them don't give a shit. They care about filling their own pockets, not filling the pockets of other people. And that's why you hear the typical signs of like, you know, the personal development coaches talking about flow and do your own schedule and don't get on sales calls. Same with the business coaches and the flow coaches, not getting on sales calls, not doing X, Y, Z. Why? Why do they all regress? Why do they all quit? It's because they're trying to serve themselves. And they say it. They literally even say it in their marketing. So they wouldn't even argue with this. In their marketing, they're like, I'm not going to do what's outside my scope and all this kind of shit. Well, no wonder you quit, bro. No wonder. Because back in the day, people would chew glass to get clients. We'd be dialing people in the yellow pages. Whereas now we have like entitlement from it. So if we can really focus on getting that right for people, everything that we build from here on out is going to work. We had a company announcement, a company like all hands on Monday. And the first line was to serve others, to help people build a scalable, repeatable, enjoyable business, but to help others. And then the subline was, we'll get everything that we want, we help them get everything that they want. I have multiple clients, like you included, who've like made the most amount of money they've ever made in their entire life, either in a month or in a year, right? Or in a day. And as a result, that's obviously benefited our business, right? It's a win-win. But it's where we don't do this, but I'm saying it's where someone is non-aligned to their values, they break their morals, break their ethics, and so on and so forth. What happens? Refunds come in, chargebacks come in, stuff on the internet gets posted about them, all the usual shit, because they're not actually following the service. Man, this is what's called a service business, bro. You got to serve other people. And yeah, man, that's been very, very important for me. So like the aha moment was really about seeing that. And it's actually interesting, man. I've had a few, it's a good question, actually. I've had a few weird instances like this, which was meeting my clients in person. So, on the service-based business, it's quite thankless, right? You do shit for people. But I'd met a lot of my clients in person in America. I organize dinners in like London and America and stuff whenever I'm traveling. And people will fly to meet us. And it's like, holy shit, like these people are real. They have something beyond the Zoom neck down. And obviously then I went absolutely insane with like in-person events. I'm running another huge event in February. 50 people in February, rented out one of the most expensive hotels in the world. Because I love seeing it. And I actually bring my team there to also see it. And you see people then in real life being like, oh, fuck, like, shit, like, this is real. Like, this is all, like this stuff is real, man. And, yeah, that to me is awesome. We get really caught in, like, Zoom calls and Stripe screenshots we get caught up in, man. Me included. Like, I'm saying this from someone who literally refreshes their Stripe screenshots every fucking 4 minutes.
It's nice, mate, but it doesn't define who you are. And that's the thing. I know this is going to sound a bit wanky here, but like some of our clients that come through when they have a big aha moment, they realise, holy shit, like the worst, because we don't bypass trauma. And we take them through it. It's deep. It's a deep 6 month journey, but they have this authentic aha moment when they say it's like ayahuasca without the ayahuasca, and they see the duality, but the singular consciousness is greater than both sides of right, wrong, pain, pleasure. They go, this is just it. And the worst thing that happened to me was simultaneously the best thing that happened to me, and this is why I'm alive. I'm here to help other people either avoid that or walk with them as they go through it. And then they get to the next level, which is stuff that you teach, because they go, I just want to be of service, but you need the systems and the structures as well. So I was like, right, you're now going to have your next test, which is, if you can't even take a compliment for someone, how are you going to take their credit card? I was like, so sales, let's get over that just now. It's a fear of rejection. I says, but here's the acronym that helped me serve at a level that enables success. Your job is just to find out what success means for that person, because it's going to look different for all of us. Now, if you're going on a sales call and you're worried about, are they going to take it or not, you've forgot that we're a healing-based business. Your low self-worth and your past pains are showing up in that sales call. That's why you're not going to get it, because you're making it about you getting the sale rather than this person's in fucking pain. I know I can authentically help that. My only job is to go, here's an offer. If they take it, we go all in. If they don't, love them enough to let them go. I said, but if you're there getting all yourself wound up about it, forget everything that we've taught at ground zero about regulate your nervous system. You're turning up for you, not them. So it's amazing to hear someone play at a level that I aspire to be to, that is just always, it's always service, bro. So I'd really appreciate you saying that, man. It's just, it gives me hope just to like keep going. Just remember to be a good person.
And it's a few things, right? Where it's like, let's make this really practical. If you're speaking to someone and they need something, they need X. Well, do you provide X? No. Okay, is it an opportunity? Back to looking at the next thing that I can solve for. To solve for X, can I do it confidently and competently? Okay, great. If it's Y, do I provide a Y? Yes. Okay, great. How can I see how Y fits into their model to get them the result? Because I think a big thing in this like online cowboy coaching space is what I often just like don't talk about, but it's funny because the result you get for your clients is a non-negotiable. It is a non-negotiable that you get the result. So whether it's done for you, done with you, live in your house, buy bunk beds together, the result is guaranteed. That is like the baseline. And then everyone's like, but should it be on Circle or should it be on School? It's like, brother, it doesn't fucking matter. You just got to get the result for people.
Yeah.
And I think this is where it's really funny when you look at like elasticity of price and delivery model and how long does it take. We talk about that another day as well, how long they should be together. I have a lot of takes on that, man. But I look at this because, as you said, I know people that when you interact with them, they're generally quite, what's the word? Like they would get frustrated by the world and they would get triggered very easily because it's their own lack of personal development that's showing up in their business. And as you know, a lot of these people could be in the personal development space. So they get triggered by either your success or what you're giving them because they're like, I can't do that. I can't do that. More so, I didn't do that. And I'm not willing to do that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the regret. I didn't. And that's the harsh truth. Are you willing? Most people aren't, mate. That's just the long and short of it.
The funny thing with this is that, like I said about willing and able, and it's something that I really try focus on. So for context people, I train like a lot of sales teams, and these could be like everything from the founder to the reps who like are often puppies to like large sales teams and so on. And the one thing that I look for is everyone, or is the individual, willing and able to do what's necessary. Let me explain. Able is skills. Do they know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, why to do it? Are they motivated to do it? But willing is completely different. Willing is the motivation that do they have that deeper desire to wake up when no one's looking, chew glass when no one's looking, move in the night when everyone's sleeping to get the result. And more often than not, they don't have it. So you'll see someone drop in the willing before they ever drop in their capabilities. Dude, unless you get Men in Black 2, like mindset, like your mind is reset, you're not going to forget the skill. But what happens is you lack the drive, right? It's like the samurai in Japan gets up and fucking sticks himself with the sword because he lost the willingness to keep going. And that's it. That's basically what I've just summarized, is that anyone that I work with who crashes out, any sales reps that, you know, for clients that we'd get rid of, I just quickly look at that. All right, okay, did they have the skill? Because then I would say it back to the business owner if they don't, being able. And do they have the desire? And it's very simple, man. I try to look at things very logically, like very, very, very logically, like non-emotional. What does this mean? You know, like what does this mean? Companies doing no money and so on. I'll tell you a funny story actually. About a year ago, it was this year. This company that was doing like, I actually don't know how much money they were doing, but they had done like 70 million or some shit at one point, and they basically wanted me to come in to build them a sales team. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, like this is easy, I can happily do this. And I said, okay, like what do you do right now? Sorry, they asked me to come in to help them scale. That was actually it. And I said, okay, do you have a sales team? And they said no. And ever since the past 3 years, they've been losing money. I'm like, how do you plan to do anything, bro? And at that point, I was like, hey, like I can help you get reps. I can put the reps in. I can train them and so on and so forth. But they were not willing to do it. So they were declining business based out of Hong Kong or some shit. They were like traditional guys. And I was like, brother, like I can't help you if you're not willing to do this. I can't teach you. There's nothing I can do. So at that point, I was like, I don't fucking want your money, man. And I think that's really, really important. It goes back to the conversation I had with the other guy like 2 weeks ago. If you're not willing to do this, your deep desire, I can't help you. Alex Ramosi can't help you. Mark Reed can't help you. You are kind of fucked, man. And that's on you, unfortunately. And yeah, sobering reality sometimes.
Yeah, it's the old adage, isn't it? Like, hard work beats skill when skill hardly works. And that's a lot of people, sadly. One of the things I want to touch on there, you've just said, I don't want your money. And I'm going to bring this up because I know you won't. This year, we're finishing strong, but this year has been the worst year in business for 10 years. There's a lot of personal stuff. There's been a lot of noise. There's been a lot of circumstances at the back. Cool story, but we need to keep going. And I said to you, So I think this is where we're similar. I went, I just want to get started, mate, for Apex. I'll figure it out. And it was at a time where I never had the money to invest. I went and I was like, I'll figure it out. And you took a punt on me. Then it got to the point of, Darren, I don't know what I'm touching or what I'm not touching. I remember one of our first things was, most people have an action problem. I went, that ain't you, bro. We just need to get you doing the right thing. And I went, I'm trying my best here. He says, I don't know if I'm actually pushing things away. I went, I am maxed out my credit card, 6,750. I'm 5k in my overdraft, and I've not had a new client for 3 or 4 months. And you had said, we don't stop making content regardless of what's going on. That's the absolute non-negotiable. You keep going with that. Now, at some point, we'll need to revisit this. I'm in a privileged position. I don't want and I don't need your money right now. We'll revisit that. Right now, your only job is to get on the calls, get the content done. You actually said about the mastermind as well. And I went, and he went, dude, you're in Apex. It's part of it. You're in Bali. Like, get your ass on your NMAX, get here and be in that seat for the next 3 days. I was like, oh, right, okay. And I was talking about this to one of my friends the other day. I went, why is it Scottish people, mate? We never fucking celebrate our wins. I was just looking over the last 5 years, and I went, I've just done £20,300 in a month. I went, I've had a lot of 10Ks, I've had a lot of 11, 12, 14. I went, I've never hit 20. And I went, let me just sit with that for a minute. I'll never be idle, I'll never be lazy and go, right, that's that. It's just, again, right, if I can do that off the back of thinking, am I going to go at the wall here? Do I need to move back to the UK and get a fucking job? That's where I was going. And similar to you, I'm also not going there. I think we're built from the same cloth, which is when it's sink or swim. It's not, it's just swim. There is no sink. But you don't know, mate, how much your confidence, your accountability, mate, but your confidence, your compassion, and your actual, I come back to it, your humility and your authenticity to actually serve people. I'm not going to say forever in debt, 'cause I think that's like, yeah, we're not going to debt. Those days are back. I was just going to say, I'm very, very fucking grateful, mate. And we just want to continue that momentum. And these are things that need to be clipped and put in as testimonials, where I think I'm going to lose everything, and then the next month have the best month ever in business. I also put that caveat out. Darren knows how to run his business. He doesn't need me to tell him. I'm pretty sure he'll keep people accountable. You're not going to get things for free coaching. Do you know what I mean? But I was in the bones of my arse, mate, and you extended an olive branch. And I'll never forget it, mate. Because like you, betrayal, distrust, it runs deep with me. It meant a lot. And I'm probably just waffling now, mate. Words won't do it justice, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And dude, I'm getting emotional too for it, because the biggest reason why I wanted to do that was like, because you're integral. That was the reason why. Dude, if it was some random fucking Miami, Dubai bro, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. But I knew what was going on. But then at a deeper level, I knew that you were an expert at what you do, and you serve people, and you get great results with people, and you help people. And I've seen your stuff, like I've literally seen it. So I was like, this is fucking easy. You just have an awareness issue. You just need to tell people about it and get them on calls and just help them. This is the thing. Serve them, not sell them. Serve them, not serve them. Sorry, serve them, not sell them. And it was very easy for me to be like, let's just pause the payments and just figure it out. Because the biggest thing here is like, you're not going anywhere. You're gonna like do the thing, and you're gonna get to unlock. And I knew it, bro. I knew it. And like, I wouldn't think about it, but if I ever thought of it, I was always like, this is gonna work. And even like as you said now, I was like, not that it's gonna serve me, but it's going to be of a reflection of you, right? This is the biggest thing. Is like, sometimes there's a caveat here. People need to be given a hand. Right? And for someone like yourself, that's all you needed. You need fucking support. Whereas, like, the reason why I said sometimes is because some people need to fucking fall, right, to figure their shit out. But you are the opposite. You're excellent at what you do. You get great results for people. You've been doing this a while. You're not, like, fucking new to the game. You just needed a little bit of direction. And the thing is that, man, it's not that I gave you, like, like credit, man, you gave me trust, right? It's not exactly like fucking Apex is free, right? So it's like you put your trust in me, which is a big responsibility. I just remember where I was. I was sitting outside this door here, and you were like, "Let's go," and I was like, "All right, perfect." And I kind of like knew what I needed to do. This is the big thing, right? As the fucking coach, guru, whatever you want to call it, like I have an obligation, obviously, to not just collect payment. And I was like, all right, I know what I need to fucking sort out here, and I need to know what I need to do. And yeah, man, like, and that's why like me and you are like fucking brothers, right? Cut from the same cloth, same background. Like there's nothing separating you or me, man, apart from a couple of years, and that's it. And that's it, you know.
A good few years, bro.
but it's funny though, right? Because like, fucking ain't nothing special about me, ain't nothing special about you. Just two ordinary guys, and that's just it. There's guys with quadruple my intelligence that make 10% I make a year, right? Yeah. And who's the winner here? I'm not the fucking winner. It's their fault. Like, it's 100% their fault, dude. Like, these guys are like quantum physics guys, and they decided to pick the path of least resistance. And as one of my mentors, Daniel Priestley, always tells me, Daniel's a good friend of mine, rough roads end smooth, smooth roads end rough. You picked a tough-ass route. We figured it fucking out. And you're not sure the shitter yet, but tough roads end smooth. And we just keep following it down. Yeah. And we don't finish, man, in Q1 of 2026. We finish when it's over. It's never like when this thing is over. Like, that's when it's over. It's not over like next month and so on and so forth. You know? So that's where for me it's like, yeah, this is it. And this is the path.
I think one of the things again, mate, that we've touched on about the trust, and you helped me heal parts of that. And I know you've spoke about like betrayal and scars in the front line. One of the things I look up to you in is like your ability to build team, because that is my biggest bottleneck, mate, is like burning out. And I've never had the desire to want to do it myself. I've actually got a really, really cool vision. Do you remember Live Aid, Bob Geldof? It was like to raise money in Africa, and they did simultaneous music concerts all around the world to raise money for starving kids in Africa. I would love to do our like breathwork, energy healing, somatic release, Soulify. I would love to do that all over the world at the exact same time, and think, what would that do for consciousness, and what would that do for healing of the planet as well? So I can't do this one-to-one. I can't do it by myself. I've always wanted to have a team. It's always the vision. But to heal from the betrayal and the trust and allow that in, I want to touch on like bringing Elise into that. How did Elise help you with healing those kind of betrayal and trust wounds, and how now is having like Elise active in your business? How's that a benefit for both like personal and business life? Because that's everything I want for people, is to have love and success. So
Elise taught me how a lot of the things that I was doing was like bad. Like the deep-seated fucking trauma that goes all the way back to being screamed at as a kid, and I could probably say something that would end up in a lot worse scenarios, but a lot of the bad scenarios at least like showed me that like that shit's not cool, bro. And then the repercussions of that and how that's manifesting in your life is, one, not cool, and also not going to be tolerated. So it was about fixing those like actual like child wounds. And I would not say that I'm fixed. Quite the opposite. But what I would say is at least I'm on the path, or like on step one compared to you, of course, but like step one.
Willing, as you've said.
Yeah, but I prefer to be on step one than fucking in being ignorant, right? So basically like that was the first kind of thing. And it was like, I remember actually, Elise has a famous saying, which is like, just because we're blood doesn't mean you can treat me any differently. So you can't speak to me a certain way and all this kind of stuff. So she's just like, oh, if you want to drop someone, just drop someone. And I fucking agree with it, because that's the stuff that I had been brought up around. And then it made me kind of really lean into like, okay, like what is it I want to do? Got married quite young. Elise was very young. And we're super happy with that approach. Like very happy with that, very committed. If I look at like the fucking disaster of my family, which by the way just should have been separate. Like the best thing that could have happened to me is that if they were like separated, right? Like that would have been way better for the kid. than like stuck together. And that's wholeheartedly, I believe that. But basically the logic there is me wanting to live my life not based on those things that kept me stuck. And then it was like, oh, this is a team thing. Even small things like this, man. Like I lived in the second largest, like largest mass space countryside in Ireland. And it basically what that meant is that it was very desolate. Like there's nothing, there's no one around. It's very remote, very rural. And obviously I was extremely isolated as a child. Extremely isolated. Yes, I went to a school, but when I was in fucking my bedroom playing Call of Duty, bro. So I was extremely isolated and in this like horrific environment. So because of all that, that's really made me want to be like akin to like connection. And it's ironic because now, like as I'm definitely, especially like this year, I'm really just a CEO now. Like I kind of do nothing. Like I don't do anything. I just fucking manage shit. So a lot of my day, man, is just on WhatsApp and on calls. And I like that. Like I actually like that. I like talking to people. And I like, not always, but like I might have like, a sales rep might ring me on a Saturday night and could be crying over like a boyfriend or girlfriend. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be all right. Like, don't worry about it. But I kind of like it. Like my wife is like, do you like doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And it's very like anti-fucking Bali coach bro telling you should say fuck you to everyone, right? It's antithesis of that. And it's like, I never had that, dude. As a child. Like, I never had that. And no one putting a hand over me, bro. I'll tell you that very much. Until I met my wife. And then what happened then was just like your question on Elise coming into the business. So like I travel a lot for podcasts and everything. I tried to restrict it as much as possible, even though I'm traveling a lot in Q4 again, even though I promised I wouldn't. But anyway. So Elise was always with me and she was always learning the model, and then I'd speak on stage and she'd be there and she'd know what I'd say before I even said it on stage, and she knew the inner workings of everything. And then also she saw the practical side of it because I'd be building people's businesses and she'd be there and so on. So I got to the point whereby she just knew shit, and it was ironic because she actually wanted to come in sales. Like she actually wanted to be a closer. And I was actually going to do it, but I knew that like she just wouldn't take the calls. It wasn't even like she didn't have a skill. She wouldn't take the calls. So we took her off that. Or we didn't put her on that. And then we were going to bring her in as like a community manager. And then she didn't want to do that. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So then the next natural step was like, she's a huge Instagram for her brand, and not her personal Instagram, but like her dog page. And the storytelling is amazing and everything. And it just felt like a natural step there. And it was so funny because she first came in there super scared, like super green, like very, very puppy-esque, and was quite scared, but making like amazing results, like getting amazing results, like pretty much instantly, bro. Like pretty much instantly. To the point that now she has like a team and she has like editors and she's hiring people and like she's like finding fucking people over here and like building workflows and shit for people. And it's like, look, bro, you give people the right tools and they run with it. Yeah. Elise is naturally very like, what's the word? Like feminine, calm and so on. Yet she's working out process flow diagrams for the editors. So you give people a fucking bone and they'll run with it. People just need support, dude. So like I have a lot of dogs and so on. And what I always say is like when you see a dog, there's nothing wrong with the dog. The dog is just waiting to find their one. And I feel that for people too with their endeavors, right? Put them in the right seat, let them flourish. Put them in the wrong seat, they'll become a disruptive kid. Happen you, it happened me, happen fucking everyone. And man, that's why I'm really, really passionate about it. And again, if we go back to like what I want to do is I truly obviously want to help people, but part of that is like developing, right? Which is developing team, developing talent, and so on and so forth, and putting that time into it. Like obviously Young Kwa, one of like our best sales reps, dude. I'm paying for his English tuition. His English tuition, bro. And my speaking coach is coaching him English, and it's like, any person in the world would say that's not a good idea. And I'm just like, oh yeah, fuck it, I'll just take care of him. Get him his English lessons, dude. And bear in mind, this guy's a speaking coach for people that are like Forbes 100 fucking list and all this shit. So, yeah, man, it's back to serving, right? It's not about...
Michael?
Yeah, Michael. Michael's his coach.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny, yeah, because he doesn't do this stuff obviously, and I was like, yeah, we'll just figure it out. Yeah, man, I don't know. It's just you extrapolate out like, what's the money for at the end of the day, right? Can't fucking spend it, so.
Yeah, invest in the people that have helped us. So I want to go into like the future of authentic business and where you see that, but just the last bit on Elise, because that's, and you mentioned passionate, this is something that I'm deeply passionate about, is the connection between healing our wounds, finding our purpose, and calling in conscious partnership. So in your experience, how does having like a conscious partner like facilitate or fast track the kind of male mission? What's the difference between building something versus like creating something that's committed and aligned with your partner?
Dude, you can't build anything if you're sober. And sorry, you can't build any if you're single. Sorry, you're going to have to re-edit that. You can't build any if you're single. Because your life is chaotic, man. You're chasing one tail after the other. And your life will always be miserable until you find like the one. And this is where you stop being a DJ, you commit to something. Because brother, if you can't commit to one person, then how can you commit to your business? How can you commit to your clients? You'll always be all over the place. And if I look at my life, like focused, driven, whatever you want to describe it as, I was still a DJ. I was still doing stupid shit. I was still wasting my time, wasting my energy, wasting the evenings, wasting the weekends. And then when I found Elise, I didn't settle down. I sped up. That was the funniest thing. I actually sped up and I was just on it. Even like every day right now. I'm in the office at 6, at the latest, every single day. I'm at the gym with Elise at 10 every day. And it's the same thing over and over again. Whereas if I was single, dude, I'd be in fucking fins. Right? I wouldn't be doing anything. And you like to say otherwise, but dude, that is the reality. And what I like to think as well is it's based on the individual. Like I know many guys that like obviously they're married and shit and they're fat and stuff and they're just like slowing down, they're lazy. But for the most part, if you have that drive, they should amplify it. Just like money amplifies your ability or your personality, so does a relationship. If you're a prick, you're going to become a super prick. And I've seen that over and over again, man.
I love hearing this, and to be honest, it's there's a couple of things. I'm going to play this for Samantha. It means Samantita in Spanish. My fiance, and she had said, because she sees how hard I'm working, so I think there's a part of her that wants to kind of speed that up and help, which I love, right? It's good. I said, but at the same token, Darren, I said, you need to understand that is the masculine energy, is to get up, get going, blah, blah. I went, we don't need two cocks in this relationship. Like, I need you to be the nurturer and the safe space. And like, when you see me going like that, go, come here, like wind that down. And I get that your work ethic and your desire for something and to stand for something is brilliant. I said, but like, we're at a point now where actually both speaking the same language, which is brilliant. The long distance needs to go. We want to be beside each other, but you're asking about Techmatics, which is like my friend Sarah Cordner's platform, CRM platform. It's like a white label of Go High Level, but she adds in other stuff that it doesn't do. It's really cool. And she said, I watched your Zoom call with her and I'm thinking I can maybe speak to her. And I said, right, let me reference my mentor, Darren. I went, Darren, if you told them to lick that wall or chew glass and it would take the pain away, they would do it. I went, they don't give a fuck what platform you host this on. I says, but the same token, if I'm already paying for that, it doesn't make sense for you to do it as well. I says, right now, wait 2 weeks till I get over and we'll sort this. I've just got a lot of balls in the air just now. I went, you just spend time on what's their pain, what's the problem underneath the pain, and then have fun going, right, what process of mine can help connect that? I went, and then when I get there, we'll find the platform. I says, but just deal with that just now. So again, mate, hearing you, and it's such a fucking powerful message, Darren, in the world of fucking OnlyFans and Tinder and all this other bullshit, right? I mean, like, not to be uncouth, but I was a walking hard on for like the majority of my 20s, but there was fear in that. I was deeply craving a loving relationship, but I was a legend of my own lunchtime. And I would just be the guy. I was known as the player and all that, but I felt empty, mate. I was always craving for one woman to fully see me, to allow me to take the mask off and just be myself. Now, I've had some amazing partners through the years, never appreciated them at the time. That's now their YXs, thank God, because then Samantha came in. And there's so many things in terms of like life partner. And what I'm excited about now is like business partners, mate, because we want to run events and retreats together, and she does things that I just don't, and I actually don't have a desire to do it. There's a really good synergy, so I'm going to play this to her as well and go, see how Darren's talking about Elise? That's how I feel about you. There needs to be your zone of genius. There needs to be mine. But I think we've got this like Vesica Pisces, this beautiful overlap now, darling, that you and I can bring this together and really fucking rock it. If it doesn't align with you, cool, I respect that. But where I'm at now, Darren, like, I want to get her in my business before I get any other fucking team members, if I'm honest, mate. You can hear it in my voice, we're getting a wee bit teary here. Like, we together in terms of like healing deep, deep fucking trauma, man. There's nothing else like it. And with your systems and strategies and everything you're teaching me, mate, I am so fucking excited where this could go. Anyway, went off, completely off script tangent there, but again, it's the confidence that I gain from you just authentically telling your story.
Yeah, sometimes you need to just be...
but living it.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to be told it from a different perspective, you know? And it's like, exact same, I mean, Elise, it's like, what am I terrible at? Where can she improve? Which is actually like a lot of Instagram marketing for us. What can she see that I can't see? And we enjoy it. Some days are great, some days are better than others, but it has to be on that commitment level. And I think, I say this with everyone, man. And if you truly trust someone, you should work with them in some capacity. That's it. Client, friend, business partner, whatever. Tom is my best friend. He's also a business partner because we trust each other.
He started as a client, right?
He started as a client, came in as a coach, came in as client success manager, and is now a co-owner of the business. And what's ironic here is, why the fuck would I be hanging out with someone talking about shit over a coffee about some random person? If I trusted the person, he'd either be a client or I'd be working with him directly, or I'd be a client of him, man. There's many people that like, I've just bought their shit because I want to be like them or I want to learn from them. So it goes both ways, right? I'm not the guru, right? Just a messenger. And it works both ways. So that's the people I want to be around, right? And it goes without saying that you attract the right energy then. I'm not around energy. I'm not going to like be insulting, but I'm not around the energy I don't want to be around. Let's put it that way. You know, I don't live in Ireland for a reason. Let's put it that way. So, and even here, man, like as in, I know people like say shit about Bali and some of it is valid and some of it's not valid. Man, I'm in my own world, bro. I wake up, I go to my office here, right? I go to the gym, I go home, I eat chicken, I eat rice. Fucking nothing can faze me, bro. You put me here, put me in Miami, put me in Dubai, put me in London, put me fucking back in Ireland, man. And I'm still going to wake up and I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do after this call. I know what messages are waiting for me. I know what I need to do in terms of food. I got to do some cardio this evening. It's 8 o'clock now or some shit. Still got to go to the gym, man. And it's like, that is not environment based. It's based on the individual. And that's why I said a lot of this is individuality, right? It's like, are you willing to actually do that work? Goes back to, do you really want it? Because it's not that easy.
For the future of business, mate, what do you think is fundamentally like broken in the current model of like online businesses?
Oh God, that's a great question. It depends what lens we're looking at it from. Are we looking from like the coaching industry? Are we looking at more like making money online space? Like what's your, give me more detail.
Well, for what we stand for, more for like a legacy business in terms of actually solving the person's problem.
There's a few things, man. One, it's obviously like people selling their wounds, not their scars. So therefore, they have no longevity. They watch a fucking Miro board video of a 21-year-old entrepreneur and think, I'm going to do that. Change their bio to his bio. And then they say they're going to sell that. And of course, 6 months later, they watch someone else's Miro board and now they're selling that thing. It's like, no shit, dude. That is the Spider-Man meme, right? That's one side. Then the other side of it then is like, people don't give a shit, bro. All right? So that's why I said to make money online space. Like, As I said, a lot of people are serving themselves. They're not serving their clients. And because they're not serving their clients, what happens? They get bad results. People churn. People leave. A bad name happens in the industry. And that's rightly so. Like, I want people to get cleared out. Don't worry about it. I'm happy with it. I'm happy for it. Equally, when I see people leave, I'm like, all right. And there's some noticeable figures who have checked out this year. And everyone was like, a lot of them were surprised by it. I wasn't really surprised by it. I kind of expected it. But I'm like, all right, cool. More space for the good guys. So, I think it's the cleaning. It's the purge. It's going to happen. It does happen. It's going to happen more frequently too. And when it does happen, that's when you want to be like one of the good guys, right? You're morally correct, ethically correct. You have people's interests at heart. You're there to get results. And then it's good from there.
Because obviously, like, that comes from a lot of people that they just don't know thyself. They'll just go with the flavour of the month. So where do you see like the intersection of like personal development, personal growth with business success? Where do you see that heading? Especially with like AI tools and software tools like Aura.
Yeah.
Where do you see that emergence?
It's based on insights. So you need to be able to draw insights based on your scares as to what you should do next. So I'll just speak from my experience.
Okay.
We've worked with over 500 clients right now. We've done like tens of millions of dollars with our client. We've also made like seven figures on the internet in the past couple of years, like several. And I have all the receipts for all that. I know what to do and I have the receipts to back it up. Therefore, it's my duty now to use things like AI, software, tools, frameworks to be able to offer my insights on this. I know that to be true because that's what my software company is doing. It's basically everything from booking your calls to scheduling your meetings to tracking your calls to tracking your payments to tracking your analytics. Sorry, that's the most important thing, tracking your analytics, so that someone like myself or maybe someone like yourself can look at it and be like, change this for that reason. Because that's what I'm paid for, is the insight. And if I can make that easier, which is what I've done with software, I can make it easier for my clients to book their calls, for me to review their calls, for me to review their data, check their payments, check their like monthly revenue and so on. And I can see it inside my own software. And I think that's where the edge is. So the world kind of follows this kind of pattern whereby you know nothing, you learn something. You do it for people as a service. You do that for so long, you turn it into a product. You turn that product into a program. You turn that product and program into software. And that's how you become a category of one. And that's my model. We help people with content. We help people with sales. Beautiful. We had a service-based business around content and sales. We then had a product around this. We then have a program around this. And now we have a software that takes care of all of this. And it's like, respectfully, if I run at this and generate enough inputs, this can only work. It's just pure mathematics.
Yeah.
Whereas I work with a lot of tech companies. I've, funnily enough, coached a lot of tech companies and the founders. And people say like, oh, like tech and so on, there's a huge failure rate and everything. Man, they don't market, they don't sell. They do neither of them. Of course you're not going to do it. You know what it's like? It's like trying to lose weight and you basically tie yourself down and just eat McDonald's every day. It's like, well, you didn't walk, you didn't go to the gym, you didn't exercise, you didn't adjust your food. What do you expect, bro? And that's such an obvious thing, right? So obvious. Well, why is it not obvious in your business? Because that's the reality.
Yeah, it's so important, mate. I think coming back here at Scotland just these last couple of weeks, I said something similar to my mum. I went, Mama, I don't think for a minute I'm not being empathetic to what you're saying here. I went, but the whole conversation back here is who's dead, who's dying, who's sick, who's not well, who's going to the hospital. I went, are you really surprised with how people live their life? Like, you're not doing the things that even give you a fighting chance to be healthy. You've not got the basic foundation pieces in place. And it is the same with business as well. So definitely I think that obviously the trackers and stuff that you have and the data and the insights, it's the same thing, right? We need to have the insight with our own personal shit. But then if we've got that, and I think you said something brilliant there with programs. What did you say? Programs?
So skill, service, product, program, software.
Programs, software. That's where I want to be. That I've not had a chance to speak to you about this yet. I want to have people that maybe the lower tier, something that I can offer them. So I want to like clone myself through AI in some sort of way where I can give people like an app or tools or things that they can, as if it's like Mark GBT basically. Is that something that Aura can help, or is it just mostly like in the tracking side of things?
It's interesting because what we're doing on like the AI side is contextual AI.
Yeah.
So what that means is specific to your data, you would get a report that says, hey, Mark, you're not booking enough calls this week to reach 50K this month. You're only booking 3 calls a week this week, but because of your price point, Mark, and because of your close rate, you need to be booking 8. Here's what we suggest. Ding, 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 ding. Increase your ad spend. Do more outbound. Do X, Y, Z. And contextual AI is actually the winner. It's not just broad AI. That's bullshit. We need very contextual based on specific pieces of data. So again, in your context, right? Whether it's like for your own app, that's basically like kind of how you can basically build it if you're going to build it in. And it's interesting because like the AI part of our business is actually going to be very, it's like not the USP initially. It's funny enough. It's not the thing that we're like really doubling down on. Initially, it's just making sure that fucking, I don't even talk to you about this, but like the biggest thing was moving into the calendar, right? That was a huge thing for us. That we wanted to build our own like scheduler that was like very sales focused, like for people like booking actual sales calls, because like we looked at, GHL, piece of shit, Calendly, piece of shit, all the other software tools, piece of shit. Bear in mind, one of the software companies used my name and my company and created a fake testimonial. So that shows you how shit the platform is. I'll show you that later on. And yeah, funny story about that. But long story short is they're all shit. So as a result of that, we wanted to build our own calendar and then be able to track all the data. And then with that data, then be able to just basically have an AI sales manager that would work at your company for $0. And you don't have to do anything, because even like I was speaking with a few clients this morning and like they're doing the tracking, but they're finding it hard, let's put it that way. It's like setter got to do one thing, closer got to do one thing, sales manager got to do one thing, VA got to do something else. And it's like, yeah, like that's the way the industry has been built. But like respectfully, like I'm trying to solve it. And I say this to people all the time. Like whenever they're struggling with something, it's like, I'm trying to solve this right now. And I actually have solved it. And the irony with this is, I want to say this like in a very delicate way. I spoke with a very famous sales manager, a sales agency recently. Really nice guy. Very smart guy, like very technically, like high IQ, kind of like finance kind of style guy. And he was like, bro, like, I don't know, is this possible? He was like, respectfully, like I have 4 data engineers and we've been mining all of our sales data for years, like as like a data lake. I know it's kind of complicated, but creating like a data lake and data warehouse, because it's that complicated. And I was like, yeah, man, I did it. Like I literally said to him, I was like, I did it. And then he was like, no fucking way is it true. And then he saw it and he was like, wait, you actually did do it? And I'm like, yeah, man, I cracked it. Like I found a way to crack it. And yeah, it wasn't fucking based off luck, I'll tell you that much. It's based off hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of doing this, man. We built the platform fast, but I spent fucking half my life building building it, the skill.
Yeah.
I spent my entire life doing this stuff, man. So that's why for me, it's like, I know what to do with the product. But dude, I learned engineering when I was 18 and I'm 29 now. So it's like, that's where for me, it's like when I'm speaking to people, they're like, oh, like it's going like a bit too quickly. And I'm like, you do realize like I learned engineering like when I was in school, bro. And so I have a good eye for design, let's put it that way. Just for some things like design, design is kind of my thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask, where does that come from? Like, and you've just answered it like that fast. And I think that's the beautiful thing about like your journey is like there's no area of your life that's wasted. Everything kind of comes together.
Yeah, I love design, bro. It's actually funny enough because I'm very logical. Like I'm a really big design guy, a really big like UX UI design guy, and it's funny because I'm really into like software development and shifting our perspective. And I guess like even my developer Imran that you've met, I guess he was even a bit kind of like, oh fuck, like this guy really likes design. And I have like all these subscriptions for different like software tools about like fucking different like circles and shit. And even like Aura can be released, but I really want to get the design right. And like it can be released, but there's a few things that I really want to improve so that it has a really good experience and that people come and they're like, this is fucking sick. and these guys are just like so autistically dialed that they're just gonna like figure things out. And even if there's like a few things that are wrong, like a few bugs, I want it to be like, oh, like these guys are just so fucking committed to getting it done. And I'll tell you something that's really interesting, right? This is why like I'm not a fucking snowflake, man, and I'll be chewing glass till the day I die. I'm gonna be doing customer support for the first year. And my father-in-law was like, who's gonna do the onboarding? Brother, I'll be doing the onboarding. I'll be onboarding people myself. The bigger sales teams of 5+ people. I'll be the one fucking doing it. Because I want to see like what they're doing, like what weird, like how are they looking at it? Like on Zoom, how are they looking at it? I'll be looking at their eyes. Where are they looking with their eyes? Because that's where the insight comes, man. This is the whole thing with AI, right? It's like, if I can look at a guy who's super experienced with sales, who clicks on this platform and is confused for half a second, I'll have done my job right. And then it's my obligation to fix that, which is chill. But if I'm like, I'm too good for that, like, we're all fucked at that point. You know, so that's kind of where I want to take this, which is like why we kind of scaled so aggressively this year. Like, I haven't hit the numbers I want to hit yet, but I guess like when we start revealing like some of the bigger numbers and you see like the actual growth month over month, like dude, there's some months where we've grown 50%. Just like an average month, we grow 50% month over month. And it's because of like that raw, like relentless, like ability to scale. And I say all that because it's been down to the numbers, man. You know, I can tell you my numbers on the back of my hand right now, even though I have a sales manager to this day. Like I know my numbers, and that's why I'm such a big believer in it, because I'm retarded, dude. If I can do this and I'm a dumbass, then I know people that, and it's funny because a lot of my, I wouldn't say my friends, but a lot of my network guys have made like 5 million in a month and 4 million in a month. The difference between them and the guys that make 10K a month is the data. 100%. And it's a horse and cart scenario, right? Everyone's like, well, I don't know, do I need it? Which is kind of why we're leading with the calendar first for the smaller guys. And it's just ironic because you get there because you did the numbers. And the perfect example is when I got into the gym, like seriously at 16, 17, I would log my weights with a pencil and pen. And people would laugh at me and say, what's this small 5'6" guy doing logging his weights? Lo and behold, that led to becoming a competitive bodybuilder. So it's like you have to track before it makes sense so that when it makes sense, you can trace back to how it started. And that's where the number is. And that's why I love the numbers so much.
Yeah, mate. And you've not forgot number one, which is yourself, not from an egotistical point of view, but it's just like without you, there is no business. And I love that you look after yourself. I love that you stand for something. You and Elise are still there. You're on the front line. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're humble. Like, you know when to delegate, but you know when, right, no, I'm in here, I'll lead the way. It's brilliant. So what is the vision for, like, not even so much Aura, but yeah, put Aura in this as well, but Voix and Aura for like the next 5 years? What's the vision?
I want to help the most amount of people possible in the world. And I truly believe we can build the biggest education company in the world as a result of helping people. Now, remember I said serving and helping is his first two statements, because whatever you want to put in your bank account, they come at heart. I think because I said this in my company announcement the other day. Thank you, love. I said this in a company announcement the other day, which was, I don't know, do you remember this? But you know, like Sam Ovens and stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
So,
Kiwi boy.
Sam Ovens had Quantum, right? And Quantum was the first program that like actually made millionaires, like genuinely made millionaires. It was a group program. All he did was hop on fucking Zoom calls. But the likes of like Charlie Morgan, Will Brown, fuck man, who else was in there? Cole Gordon was probably in there at some point. I think Jeremy Haynes was in there. Basically, anyone who's at the top of the game now, they all came from Quantum. And I think like that's the field that we want. It's like, like Mark was in Apex. Fuck. Who else was in Apex? Oh, fuck. Ryan was in Apex. Oh, Elizabeth was in Apex. You know? And like they're on their way to 1 million in a month, bro. And it's not all due to me, 100%. But I would like to say I taught them how to run a call funnel. That's what I would like to say. That like if I put one bit of stamp on people, it's like how to run calls at a high level. I would like to say that anyway, at least. So what I'm trying to say is like that's kind of the plant that I want to leave is like, you know, in 15 years time where someone's like, where'd you learn this from? It's like there's a fucking crazy dude who doesn't cut his hair in Asia and he just loves call funnels. You know, like that's like part of me is like, because I just love it, man. I just love it more than anything else. There's just something so special about like it just being such a fucking strong ecosystem that it just churns out leads. You know, and you see it, man, right? Like our groups, and especially in Apex, is that it's so infectious. It's like you can only be successful.
I can't keep up, man.
I can barely keep up
with that, but it's just, especially Liz, man. She's wow, very inspiring.
Yeah, she's a queen, man, and it's so funny because like she's super feminine, and then super go getter.
Yeah,
right. She has that polarity down. Like she's done her inner work, man. You know, you can tell that. She's been through the wars, and I love her dearly for that. And man, like I think, and then just like at a high level, without talking too soon, is like I don't want to put a number on it, even though I know a number in my head, but I do want a big exit. You know what, Aura is my goal. And I only say that selfishly because, dude, like I'm spending fucking $500,000 on software expenses, right? Like, this isn't a cash flow business, right? I'm fucking in the hole, and like all the money that I do make goes back into software. Like even the other day, dude, what did I buy the other day? I bought like a vendor subscription, and it was, you know, a lot of money, let's put it this way. And it's ironic because I bought it was funny because they gave me the price. Because I take a step back. When I worked at that software company that I worked at when I was younger, I was the buyer. I used to buy software to put into the app. And I kind of know how these deals go, which is, again, as you say, it's helped me to this day. So I know when I'm going to get fucked in the ass and I'm not going to get fucked. And I remember I was going in to sign this like big vendor agreement. And I was like, if I just make the first move, I know it's going to be beneficial. And I knew it worked, the tech was good, and we were going to use it and integrate into Aura. And I'm on a call with this like account executive guy, and I'm like, all right, just give me the price for 3 years. And he's like, okay, so this is like, no. Give me the price for 3 years. And he's like, all right, this is the price. I'm like, all right, cool. Send me the invoice. I just paid him my credit card straight away. So I bought it for 3 years because I want to be doing this for a long period of time, and I knew I could get somewhat of a fucking deal if I paid for 3 years up front. So I just paid it, and I was like, oh, fuck. And then I'm like, all right, back into the dungeon. Back into the chewing glass. Like put another fucking film of glass into my mouth, I bet. And yeah, that's the thing, you know. And I think we have a huge market, bro. Like this is the thing, because we started building the calendar. I don't think people realize how big the market is now. We went from being sales teams to anyone who takes a sales call. So you went from, you know, it's an old podcast example. When we just served podcast people, it was 30,000 people in the world that had a business podcast. And then it went from 30,000 sales teams in the high ticket space to 30 million people who book calls on a daily basis or some shit.
Let's go back to that. That's a good little bridge in here. So, like, obviously, through your kickoff sessions, you've interviewed like hundreds of successful founders. Like, what pattern do you see the people that build those lasting legacy businesses as opposed to the people that burn out? This is why I had to have you number one.
Yeah, that's a good question, because the question isn't like, oh, like, you know, how do they make money? It's more about how they build things that are like lasting. And my mentor is Iman Gadzhi. Like I literally have paid him to be my mentor. I met him in person. I've obviously interviewed him, spent time with him. He's an absolute great guy, wholehearted guy, looks you in the eye, very warm, very charismatic, a great guy. And I had a call with him back in January. And he literally said, what is the empire build? What is that for you? Like, what is it you want to build? And you have to be thinking in empires, not thinking in terms of like random monthly fucking revenue figures. Like, brother, that's not a business. Yeah. Making 100K a month is not a business. It's what's the empire you want to build and what do you want to build on top. So for me, it's helping people, helping their businesses, scaling their businesses. It's having my free content to help people. It's having my free content better than everyone else's paid content. And then it's looking at those bigger swings, software swings, partnership swings. Like I bought a company a couple of months ago, which worked out pretty well. I was going to buy another company and I pulled out of that last minute, and I built this Aura instead. And yeah, I'm looking at those big swings, right? So for me, it's like I feel like, again, you're paid in proportion to the amount of value that you can provide. So if I can crack it, I think, to be honest, a big thing for me is like, cracking software. Like, obviously, because I built it when I was younger and I went nowhere, and then I worked at companies, software companies. Then I kind of have a thorn in my side, and it's like this kind of like something to prove, which is bullshit, but it's true. And because it's business on hard mode, bro. Doesn't get much harder than software. It's brutal. So I look at those kind of things, and it's like, yeah, bro, just so much problems every day, and yeah, just so much errors every single day, and all these things holding you back, and XYZ, and da da da. So as a result of that, it's like, okay, put me in hard mode, skip the elevator, let's try crack it. And if I don't crack,
choose the easy route, yeah.
And dude, if I don't crack it, like, who the fuck gives a shit, right? Like, who cares? Yeah. Is it going to be someone from my high school say that I'm a loser? Who cares? You know. but the irony was like let's just paint the picture. Let's just say in a year's time, I'm like, hey guys, this didn't work out. We just closed it down. I guarantee you, the people that I want to be around, that I want to be exposed to, would message me and be like, well done, man. You put everything into it.
Yeah.
You put everything into it. For whatever reason, not right timing, whatever reason, didn't work out. That's not going to happen. But I'm just saying scenario analysis. If that even did happen, that would actually be the reaction.
Yeah. Because you surround yourself with like-minded souls, mate. That's why. I'm the same, mate. Like, if we're going to miss the bus, miss it. Running for it, like talking about it, I'm not interested. I'm super conscious of time, mate. I want to bring this all back round. Now I'm a great custodian of self like reflection and shifting perspective to grow and expand. So I'm gonna ask you something. 2-part question. How have I done today, Coach?
You've done awesome, bro. So good.
And if you had to sum me up in one word, what would it be?
Integral. You got integrity.
Thank you.
You know? That's it. You're just willing to, you stand by your word, whether you're doing well personally or professionally, whether you're carrying a lot personally, like actually having a lot of things happening to you still show up for your clients. You still have a lot of integrity. Whether you have money in the bank or you don't have money in your bank, you're still going to show up for your clients, and you show up for the people around you. And like, that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day.
That means a lot, man. Thank you, bro. All right, we're obviously not going to finish with me. I love you too, mate. We're going to finish with you. That's the reason why we're here, right? So if you could solve one fundamental problem for every entrepreneur, what would it be?
Sales.
Let's go a bit deeper. If you had 1 minute sales,
it's sales, because it's the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters, because all the awareness in the world, even if you don't take sales calls, all the awareness in the world is bullshit if you can't close it. Even if you're running into like a $1 product, right? Like, it's the landing page. Sales is the landing page. The checkout page is sales. Everything is sales. And it's like, don't fear it, embrace it. Don't think that you're bad at it. It's like, that's just bullshit. You know, like, you will just hold yourself back. And yeah, man, it's just been everything to me. And it's just, that's why it constantly feeds like our business. And I've seen the changes in people. And even I had a call with a client this morning that you would know personally as well. And the woman was saying that she had like a mindset issue. And I was like, all mindset issues are just like a manifestation of like a skill issue, right? It's like you're overwhelmed because you just don't know what's wrong. And then you're scratching your head and then you say it's a mindset thing. And lo and behold, the reason why people weren't buying her offer was because she was putting it out in a stupid way. And then we just fixed it and it's solved. Because I did it too. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you're not open to it, then that's the reason why you can stay stuck.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to shelf that. Let's finish on this. If you had 1 minute left on the biggest podcast in the world to share your wisdom with future generations, what would it be? Everyone
laughs at you for starting. Everyone ignores you when you're stuck. And everyone claps for you at the finish line.
I think let's end it now. It's so important. I'm gonna clap for you. I know there's no finish line for you, but brother, listen. Always want to get the intro and the outro right. What you've built demonstrate exactly what our like Be the One program is all about. Anxiety, isolation, pain, chewing glass, to that authentic success that actually solves something for people. But for anyone listening that resonates with this, the question isn't whether you're capable of building something meaningful, like Darren said. Are you willing to do the foundational work first? So where can people connect with you, brother, and learn more about the ecosystem model and all the amazing things that you're creating?
Yeah, just drop me a message on Instagram.
Mate, I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for everything. Grateful for the opportunity. The company name we've got, Trysted Soul. I think I told you the story. It started as an illegal rave. I rebranded the whole company actually looking for like a podcast name. And I was trying to think, and I was coming up with all these wanky names. And then I just looked down and I went, I was thinking Joe Rogan Experience. It was like, Mark Reed Experience. I was like, and then I saw that. I went, the Trysted Soul Experience. This has been incubating for 6 years. And through meeting you, and I was like, all right, just don't get it perfect, just get it going, get it launched. You like you said, the WhatsApp. You like speaking to people, you like doing that. I've been on a lot of podcasts. I actually really love this side of things because even working with you so closely, getting to be in masterminds and connecting with you in Bali, even on this, I'm still learning deeper layers and parts of you. So you being you, brother, helps other people proxy step more and more into themselves. This was an idea. It would have been probably something else that get put in the vision board for 2026 or 2027. So it had to be you that was episode 1, because without you doing what you're doing and just shining authentically as you are, this would be a 6-year thing that would just be sitting there on the back burner. So thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you and every single thing that you do, man.
Man, you absolutely smashed it. So I'm excited to see this be put out, man. And I'm expecting you to ramp the content.
Yes, of course. This will be clipped.
Thank you, man.
Out in all platforms. God bless you, brother. Thank you, mate.